welcome. It's your girl Brittana, and I'm so excited because today I get to finally share with you guys my birth story. So after almost like 4 months, I will finally put this out there, and I will walk you guys through how it happened, all the things, you know, regarding the natural birth experience. I'll even drop a couple of gems and tips and tricks along the way. By the way, you may hear my son in the background. If you do, just bear with me. Other than that, let's get started. So to kind of go all the way back, I found out that I was pregnant around Thanksgiving 2019, right? So like 2 or 3 days later, I actually started to feel a little nauseous. Throughout my pregnancy though, I actually didn't really have like really bad morning sickness. I didn't have like severe nausea, none of that. But around that time, I did feel a little nauseous. And to be honest with you, I genuinely just thought, because it was like just happened to be like around Thanksgiving, I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I have food poisoning, you know? So I started questioning like everything. Like, did I prepare my food right? Like, I'm questioning everything. I'm like, did something like get mixed up in other people's food? Like, I'm just thinking everything that I can think of but me being pregnant. So eventually after I started calculating and putting like 2 and 2 together, I went ahead and went to the store. Went to CVS. I got like the generic like pregnancy test. Went back home with my boyfriend. I took the test, found out I was pregnant. And we both were just like in shock for a while. Then I called my OBGYN like that Monday, just scheduled an appointment later on in the week, just to make sure everything was like for real, because I didn't want to get my hopes up for nothing, you know. So we went to the appointment, took the necessary test that was needed, and boom, like we found out it was official. Like, your girl was pregnant. Like, I'm gonna have to drop some pictures or something like that, because like I couldn't even believe it for a while. But yeah, like I found out that I was pregnant, and right after that, like, me and my boyfriend had that serious like conversation on how we envisioned and wanted our birth to go. Growing up, I knew I always wanted to like have like, you know, the natural at home like water birth type like of thing. But then like at the same time, I would hear a lot of stories that were more on the negative side of things, especially of women of color, and having like trouble and difficulty when it comes to like labor and delivery. And I even experienced it through like a family member that had passed away during childbirth. So it was just one of those things where I started to kind of question whether or not it was actually like a thing, or if it could even be possible. But then, like, you know, I kind of just like prayed about it, and I changed my mindset. I luckily have a partner that like shares the same values and beliefs that I do, and everything just kind of aligned as it should have. We made sure that we did the necessary mental work that was needed to get us prepared for the birth, right? We did a lot of research. We watched a lot of like documentaries, docuseries. Like, one documentary we watched was The Business of Being Born. Definitely recommend that, because it definitely will like have you thinking. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. We watched like a docuseries on Netflix called Babies. I read a lot of like vegan pregnancy book, and a lot of other like childbirth and other pregnancy books to kind of get me prepared. One that I definitely will recommend, because it's not just for like whether you're vegan or not. It's just like the main focus is on like a natural birth, but it basically is like a week by week guide that will like kind of walk you through like your body and the baby's like growth and development. She even like incorporates a lot of like recipes and just like a lot of like affirmations. It was just so like, it's such a really dope book, so I'm just gonna like drop that somewhere. But yeah, we read books. I just made sure like I took the necessary like supplementation. I took like a vitamin D3. I took a the Whole Foods like natural prenatal multivitamin by this brand Naturiello. I think that's how you pronounce it. Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, I did all of that. I also took like another iron supplement later on through the pregnancy. We also did like interviews for like midwives and doulas. So after we found out that we was pregnant, and we kind of got everything like switched like over insurance wise, we in the process of us doing the interviews, we actually found a midwifery group with the birthing center. So like I said, in the beginning, I wanted to have like a home birth. I wanted it to be a natural birth, but with the space provided, the apartment that we were currently living at, I started to like change my thought process on whether or not that was something that we wanted. And then especially with everything going on with the pandemic and everything, we just wanted to kind of be on the safe side at the same time. So I started researching, like I said, birthing centers, and just like we researched everything that was along the lines of home birth and birthing center, and ended up making the decision of going to a home birth, because low-key I kind of wanted to have like that experience of like rushing to like a hospital or home a birthing center. And so we found the Brooklyn Birthing Center. Now they have a sister birthing center, Jazz Birthing Center in Manhattan, but they're still like affiliated under like the one thing. And then with the birthing center, they have like a midwifery group. So the funny thing is, like, a lot of the midwives we were interviewing separately that has their own practice actually worked under the midwifery group at the birthing center. So it kind of just worked out for itself. In that process, we also toured the birthing center, which was really dope. That was like the beginning of January of this year, and it just kind of worked out for itself, for us being able to like have the opportunity to see, you know, the rooms that they offer, just kind of like meet the staff, like all of that good stuff. So, and that during that process, I also, like I said, interviewed doulas, and we found our doula, Ebonie. I love her so much. Like, we did so much research separately. Like I said, I created I created like a little like folder on Google Drive, like for like my resources and stuff. But our doula recommended a lot of like beautiful like podcasts. She recommended so much pain management techniques. She recommended spinning babies. She recommended different like other classes, and gave us a whole bunch of other like resources that were so useful to us. And I definitely recommend, if you can, getting a doula, because they are a great like advocate for you, especially when it comes down to like your actual like birth experience, like giving birth. They will speak on your behalf if you're not like able to at the moment, and they just act as a really good like extra party. She's a prenatal yoga and a lactation counselor as well, so that really helped us like the day of, especially with the lactation part. My doula also recommended a hypnobirthing class that my partner and I both took virtually due to the pandemic. But this course, I would say, definitely helped us throughout my pregnancy. It helped me the day of, like during my labor. And I want to say that it also like shares a lot of the values and beliefs that we both have. Like, it aligned perfectly, from like meditation, visualization, breathwork, breathing exercises, like all those different like techniques and other pain management techniques that I didn't even think about. Definitely the instructor did an amazing job like teaching us and showing us like the way, and helping us prepare mentally for our birth. And as I mentioned before, like, we did a lot of like mental work, so that was a big bulk of like the mental work that I was doing prior to the course, like me taking the hypnobirthing class, like the visualizing, also like me doing the meditation through like from day one. But having that course really helped, because we would do those exercises during the class, and it definitely just helped me. Wow, what am I saying? It helped me get like on the right track mentally for what I wanted to envision, making sure that I like thought about all the things that I wanted to happen. Now granted, like, everything doesn't go according to plan, and a lot of things definitely didn't happen the way that I would have even thought about it, but I did keep an open mind. So I think that was what helped me the most, is just like having that open mind, and just kind of like just going with the flow of the unknown, and just like, you know, we were going through a big transition in our life. We were planning on a big move between locations and between apartments, and it just like worked out perfectly as it should have, where we were able to move in somewhere before the baby was even like supposed to come. And the beauty about, like I said, the hypnobirthing class is she encouraged us to not like to use different language, you know, like instead of saying contractions we would say surges. Instead of focusing on like a specific date that the baby would be born, we would just focus on the time frame. So, you know, for me, I had my heart set on like the last week of July. He ended up coming like 2 weeks prior, you know. So it just, like I said, worked out all in like the right way that it should have. So like I said, around July is when we initially moved into our new like home, and we were packing up. Like it was just so much like going on that like I can't even like remember every single detail, but we definitely just like had a lot going on. We were like packing and moving things around, and you know, like I said, my little OCD kicking in. I want to make sure everything was set up and like ready just in case the baby came. And on top of the fact that, like, you know, keep in mind, don't listen to what everybody has to say, because that was another thing that hypnobirthing instructor like encouraged us to not to do. It's just like focus on you, focus on yourself, focus on your journey, focus on what you got going on. But a lot of people was telling me like, oh, you know, I think this baby gonna come early, girl. This baby look like he just dropped this and that and third, blah 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 blah. And I was so trying to like deny it. I was so trying to like not listen to them, but I could sense like he was coming soon. I just didn't know when, and I didn't think it was gonna be like 2 weeks early, but hey, you know, it is what it is. So around like that time, I started to feel like, you know, more like cramping, you know, and I think it goes back to what I said about the unknown, and me like, I think if anything, I was more worried about the anticipation, like of like how it is and stuff like that, than the actual like experience itself, because like I said, I didn't know how it felt, you know. But for me, that was like, I guess what helped, because I didn't know, you know. So I would feel a little cramping here and there, which led up to like maybe, I want to say like the Thursday right before he came. So that Thursday, I started to get like more like cramping during the day. I was on the way to the nail salon, and I just started to get like really bad like cramps like in my back, like my lower back area, and kind of like in my like behind like underneath my chest, like in my rib cage area. But it wasn't like lower like in your pelvic area, like the like lower abdominal area. I didn't really feel nothing there. So I thought I just had like Braxton Hicks contractions for like the longest. And like I said, I'm on the way to the nail salon. So I'm over here like feeling this in the car driving by myself. And I'm like talking to this little boy like, listen, okay, like I'm by myself. Your dad's not here. He would have to Uber to me. I'm already like damn near at the nail salon. Like I'm gonna need you to chill, relax, let me get cute, okay? And I'm like having this conversation with him, and it just was such like, it was such an excruciating pain that I'm like, oh my god, like am I in labor? Like I'm texting like my boyfriend like, yo, like just be on standby just in case, because like I don't know why I'm feeling like this. And then like it would kind of stop, and like, you know, I know there's like that ratio, I think it's like 3 to 1 or 3 minutes apart, 1 minute. I don't really remember all of the, like the nitty-gritty details, but I was thinking like, okay, it's like coming, stopping, and I'm like, okay, is this it? But like I said, I just thought I had Braxton Hicks contractions, because eventually it did stop. Like when I was at the nail salon, I'm sitting in the chair getting my toes done, and I could just feel my back hurting, and I'm just like moving, and the nail tech is like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know, like just please finish. I'm like, just skip the massages. The nail salon like goes through things like it gives you like the like deep tissue massage, all of that, and I'm like, just skip all of that, just do my toes. Like I just want to be done. Like I want to get about this chair. After I got the chair, went to like the nail part, like the nail station, to get my nails actually done. Before I did that, I went to the bathroom to have another conversation with him, and I'm like, listen, I'm gonna need you to relax, okay? Because this ain't it. I am by myself. I don't have the patience or the time for this. And I think he listened to me, because he kind of like, you know, simmered down a little bit. And after that, like I said, I got my nails done. I was planning to get waxed, but thank God I didn't, because it just was not gonna happen. Like the way I was feeling, I was just lucky enough to make it home. Let's just say that, okay? And then I already had the day planned, the next day planned to do laundry and just get other stuff done that was like needed to get done. We had to put the bassinet up. We had so much like other stuff to do that I was like, you know what, getting waxed is just the least of my worries. So I got home. I try to relax, do some like more unpacking, some more like taking the baby's things like apart for the nursery, just like putting things in the right place. Like I said, slight cramping throughout the night, but it was just like nothing major. Like okay, as I explained my story, it's gonna seem like I'm downplaying a lot of this, and when I say like I was calm through everything, I really was calm through everything. But the pain is something that like even my doula said, like one of those things you can't really explain to someone unless you experience it yourself. Like it hurts, but like I said before, I think because I didn't really know what I was feeling, and it just like it really did just at first start feeling like, you know, like menstrual cramps. I didn't really think about it like that, you know what I mean? So Friday I did laundry and I was just exhausted. When people say that you need just to sit down and not overwork yourself, please listen to them, because I think I just overworked myself, and I really just thought that's why like later on like that night I started cramping. I thought that's why it was like I was getting the cramping, because I just thought I overworked myself like so much. And like that night we also put up the bassinet, and I swear like he just like knew or something like that. Like he felt it in his soul that, you know, the bassinet's up, that means we're ready, and he was like, I'm coming, you know. So basically that night I also continued to have those little cramping like cramp pains, and as I mentioned before, they kind of just felt like menstrual cramps. Now then during the middle of the night, like really like the next morning, I woke up around like 3 or 4. Like, you know, like your body, I have like that body clock, and sometimes you could just like know what time it is. I swear, like during my pregnancy, I would always just like wake up around that time, which is like so random, and I would just like be staring like into space, just like looking at the ceiling, not being able to fall back to sleep, or just having to use the restroom, right? So like this morning was like the Friday morning at 3 or 4 o'clock. I literally said that to myself, like I'm like, I swear it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And I had like the first like real surge contraction, but then again, like I said, I didn't know, so I'm like questioning. I'm like, is this like another like Braxton Hicks? Is this like, what is happening? And I was just trying to use the bathroom, you know. And so I woke up my boyfriend, and like I'm like, you know, babe, like I think I might be like having my first like surge, or having my first like contraction. I think this might be it. And he kind of like pops his head up, like he's like still asleep, you know, and he like pops his head up and just like, are you sure? Like what? Like, you know, like he's like in a daze, like he's like still asleep, so he like really don't even like know like what's really going on. So like I'm telling him like, yeah, I think so, and he's like, are you sure? He's like, try to come lay back down or whatever, and see if you can just like get some rest. So like I lay back down with him, and then like maybe like a few minutes like later it came again, and I'm like, no, I think this is it. And then like I immediately like got up, and you know, he got up too. I went to the kitchen, I made me some tea. He went and got my birth ball for me. And like the funny thing is, like I said, I made some tea, but I didn't even like drink it. Like I took a sip and like I left it on the counter. And then I got on my birth ball, and I just was really trying my hardest to like, you know, basically just like remain calm. I was trying my hardest to just like breathe, relax, and just like relax. That was the main thing. I was just trying to relax, because like I said, then it started to come on like stronger, and I can like, and I was fully aware at that point, like, you know, this is it, like this is it. So like I'm on my birth ball, and like, you know, I only bounced a couple of times. Like it didn't really like do much. Like a lot of the stuff that I got to prepare for this, I didn't really use that much like the day of, because initially, like, once I guess I started to feel like the surges, I just wanted to lay down. I just wanted to sleep. And like I said, I started to feel them early and I was still really tired. So I went back in the bed. He laid down with me, and I just kind of like tried to sleep through it. That didn't happen. It was not gonna happen. He got up after a while, like maybe I think around this time was like maybe 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and I told him to call the midwife. He called the midwife. And the funny thing is, like, we have like bi-weekly call schedules for with our doula. So that day was Saturday, happened to be one of our last like calls, and so he just went ahead and called her and let her know that that I may possibly be in labor, because he wasn't sure, neither was I. So I got up, I took like my first shower. Oh my god, when I say that shower was so beautiful, like something about hot water like hitting your back when you're in pain or like when you're cramping, is that just like, oh my god, is how much it's so self-soothing. It's so good. But anyway, I took my first bath, and that probably was like a few minutes, because like, you know, it definitely helped, but then I just was like I said, I was very, very tired. So after my first bath, I just tried to lay back down, and then I went ahead and one of the apps that I was telling you guys that I use is called the Pregnancy Plus app. I went ahead and just purchased like for like $1, like they're like plus, the Pregnancy Plus, like plus the version or whatever, like the pro version, just because they had the timer on there. And I didn't think I was using it right, because the whole time I'm like, this doesn't really make any sense at all. Like, I'm just like trying my hardest like to stay calm and like but not get frustrated, but I'm just trusting it like that, like, okay, I hope this is making sense, whatever. Like, I'm timing it. The contraction surges usually last for like a minute, which, speaking of which, I think something that helped me was like doing wall sits that my doula recommended I do for like a minute. So I kind of was like able to like bear through the pain a little bit, and then I will also like just breathe. Another breathing exercise that I did was something that I learned in Hypnobirthing, where I would like count down from like 30 or 29 down to 1, and I would just like do that. That was something that I also did. I also just would tell myself, honestly, just that I would see my son in a few hours. So it would be times where I would lay down, go to the bathroom, literally stand and squat at the sink, use the bathroom, sit on the toilet, go back in the bed, and repeat the same process. Okay, so like I would do that like a couple of times. I did that a couple of times until I ended up just taking a second shower, because I was like, okay, while I was laying down, I had pillows between my legs. I had like a little hot rag, and it's just like none of that was really working. So I'm like, okay, I need something else. So I would go in the bathroom. I'm sitting there. At that point, I'm like, okay, so like I'm sitting on the toilet, just like staring off into space, trying to breathe. And I'm just like really like trying to tell myself, like, you're gonna see your son in this like a few like hours. You're gonna see your son in a few hours. And I would just try to like breathe through it, try to smile through it. And I swear those things really help. Now that I think about it, like during the time, like, you know, it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know, that's gonna help. But like, I can really like, I can sense the shift as I was doing it. Like when I would be like telling myself to smile, and when I would smile through it, like, you know, like all my hormones, everything would just like change, and I felt good, you know, in those moments, instead of like focusing on like the how painful the actual like contraction or like the surge really was, right? So like after I took my second shower of the day and laid down, at this point my boyfriend has already like tried to like offer me food, and like I really just was not for anything. Like I just was so tired and just was like over it. I was just wanting it to be done. Just wanted to like I just really just wanted it to be done, you know? And to be honest, like for me, I never really thought I had like a strong pain tolerance, but I'm very proud of myself and I'm really glad that I can actually say that I do, apparently. But yeah, like I was able to just kind of like focus on like everything that I like prepare myself mentally for that moment. I hope that makes sense. But I also, during that time between like my 2 showers, my boyfriend helped with like making sure that I got like the water that I needed. He went to the store, got us like some tomatoes to make some tomato soup. He had like some fresh watermelon. I didn't touch any of that. Like I really genuinely did not want any of that. It's just like the thought of food was just not sitting right with me, you know? And then like, I know you're supposed to stay hydrated, but it's like every time I would take a sip of water, I felt the contractions were just coming on stronger, or it's like coming faster. So I was like, you know what, let me just not, okay? I just sat, like would sip the water just enough to stay hydrated throughout the time, but the main thing was like resting. And I think that also, like I said, was something that really helped me. And then after like my second shower, my like the food offer, and like he even made our daily juices. And I feel like that was probably the only time that I kind of like, I didn't even snap on him, but like eventually I'm gonna do a video where I have him, like his version of it and how he like feels like, you know, I actually did. But even after the conversation, like afterwards and having the conversations with him, he's like, yeah, like you really didn't do bad. Like you really were like, I didn't go off on him like you were thinking, like the movie scenes. I wasn't like yelling at him. I wasn't like screaming. I didn't do it. I really am so proud. Like I stayed calm the entire time. So back to the juice, like I just told him, I was like, nah, I ain't drinking it today. Like that was about like as much as me going off on him that I would say. But even then, like I was more or less like out of like a painful, like a discomfort kind of feeling, you know. And then basically now this is like 3 o'clock. I mean, this is like 1 o'clock. I go back, lay down, put this heating pad. Like I said, it was like a kind of everlasting like cycle of me like sleeping, laying down, using the timer to track it, breathe, smile, do the countdown, go to the bathroom, squat, use the bathroom, sit on the toilet, go back in the bed. I also, with my partner, did like another exercise that I think he just either came up with on his own, or I don't really know where he got it, but he did it. Like he did the damn thing. So this exercise basically was like me in cat-cow position. Actually no, it was child's pose. I feel like if you know what I'm talking about, I didn't want to confuse you. So it was me on child's pose, where basically like I'm on all fours, but my arms are extended to the front, and my head's like down, like close to the ground, but I'm doing this on the bed, right? And my like butt and my back area are like kind of like lifted up. I don't really know like the best way to like describe it, but like I'm basically like this, like, you know, this is my head and this is like my butt. But if you know what a child's pose is, then you know. But that's the best way that I can like describe it. So I wasn't doing that, and then he was actually doing this like really this vibrational like sound, like, you know, when you meditate you go so he did that on my back, and surprisingly like it felt really good. Like I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna ask you too many questions because I don't really care about the answers right now, but this felt nice. I was like, oh, where you get this from, you know? But it really helped for a while, and then like my legs started to cramp, so then I just kind of like was like, all right, that's enough. I'm just gonna go lay back down. And then now at this point it's like maybe 3 o'clock, 4-ish, I want to say, yeah, because I was in the tub and I took my 3rd shower, and my shower turned into a bath. So granted, like I said, I did the necessary like prep work, like including like you know, creating like a playlist. I created my playlist with like sound bath, like sound bowls, like the sound baths. I also created the playlist with like the vibrational frequencies, like the binaural beats, like the 432 hertz, like the different like hertz sounds. I had that whole playlist ready. And then the hypnobirthing class, like the instructor gave us a couple of her own personal like playlists and audio affirmation messages that she sent to us, but for some reason it wasn't really working on my end. So I just went ahead and prepared myself, like I said, with my playlist, and some like a couple of other things. So when I was taking my bath, I actually listened to one of these meditations by this lady named her YouTube is called The Beck's Life. I think that's her YouTube name, right? And she had like a labor and delivery meditation, and that's what I listened to at like throughout like throughout the time of me like laying in bed. That's one of the meditations I listened to, and I listened to it again when I was like in the bathtub. Also, because of the audio message not working from the hypnobirthing class, I went ahead and just like Googled hypnobirthing like meditation, like the first one I could find on YouTube. They have like so many, which is like beautiful. So I just like kind of typed it in on on YouTube, and then just went with the first one that I could find. The first one wasn't the right one, so for me, because it just didn't resonate. And then I did like I found another one, and that was like perfect. Okay, so I saved that so I can have it for future reference. I can always like link that if you guys want that as well. But for me, that helped so much, because it's just like her talking in the background, and like just everything was so like good, and it helped me like remain calm. Like, so I continue to smile through it. I continue to just like have like being like that meditative like state while I was in the shower, and while I was like going into like my bath. I basically just like I said, turned the shower into the bath, and I just like laid there with the water like running on me, and then like it was like so warm, and just like feeling my body like soak. It just was so great. It was just so nice. But after like while I was in like the bath and I was listening to my meditation, I started like this contraction started to get like stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So like to the point where I'm pushing, and I'm like thinking like, yo, like this is wild. Like I'm really like having to push, because I can literally feel his head. Like I'm like, oh my god, like I can feel his head. So I'm telling my boyfriend, I'm like, yo, like can you come here? Like I really need need you to call the midwives, like call the doula. And he's on the phone with them, and I can just hear him talking to the doula and the midwife, and she's like saying she can meet us at the birthing center, because initially we had asked her if she could just meet us at the house. He got on the phone with the midwife, and I'm over here like, oh my god, I don't think I can make it to the birthing center. I think I'm gonna have this baby here. While he's on the phone with her, I can overhear them talking, and hear the midwife say like, no, she could not have the baby in the tub. Like, get her dressed. You have to get here. You have to get here right like now. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, we live like 40 minutes away. So like that's the gag. Okay, like I'm like really thinking about this like 40 minutes. I'm like, the way this baby is like pushing, like I can literally feel his head. We're not making it there. Like it's not happening. It's like not happening at all. Okay, so thankfully, like I said, I was prepared in other ways, and I already had like my bag packed. Speaking of which, ladies, pack your man stuff. Okay, like I was doing laundry the day before, and I was gonna pack my boyfriend's things just so that everything would be prepared, but he had specific items that he wanted to incorporate into his bag. So I was like, okay, I'm just let you do it, and then I'll get all the last minute things when we're ready. My bag was packed. The baby's bag was packed. His bag was not packed. Like I said, make sure his bag is packed so that you don't gotta deal with this. We literally, I'm trying to get up the tub. He's helping me out of the tub. He puts my clothes on me, which is so sweet. And like I'm telling him like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like I'm looking at him like, I don't think it's gonna happen. I could literally feel this baby coming, and then it's just like, I don't even know how to describe the feeling of like when like the pushing while the contraction is just like you feel your body almost like shaking like for like a few minutes. Like it's just, oh, it's so weird. I don't even know how to explain it, but basically after he like puts my clothes on me, like, and we're like walking like to the front door to go out, like I immediately run back into the bathroom, because it's gonna be a little graphic, but my mucus plug comes out, and I'm like, oh my god, like we're not going to make it. Like I'm telling him this, and he's like, no, we have to go. So he basically like just like throws me over his shoulder, like, you know, damn near. And like, we're gonna get there. So he puts me in the car, which is why, going back to what I said about the bags, having it packed would have helped. He has to run back in. He has to get everything. He has to get the car seat. He has to get their bags. He has to he has to run around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to get his bag packed, all while I'm sitting in the car pushing. Just imagine that. Like, I'm just sitting there in the car pushing. I'm over here with, like, I'm in the passenger seat. I'm with one arm like on like the headrest for like the driver's headrest, one other hand on the window, and one leg on like the dashboard. So going back to what I said about the playlist, he finally gets in the car. The playlist is being played with the binaural beats of vibrational frequencies. Thank God, that helped me. He's over here like running around, like driving crazy, like just like, I'm not going to go into details of like how recklessly he was driving, but just imagine like one of those movie scenes where like you're just like seeing the guy literally just like driving like super fast. Let's just say that, okay? And so he's driving crazy. I'm over here trying to push, and like he's like yo, like get out the way, like, you know, talking crazy to like the people that are like driving near us. And like, I'm over here just like, come on, like I'm pushing, I'm trying to like wave my hand like at the like out the window so people realize that like, hey, like she's in labor, you know. And also during the time, you know, he's like telling me to like keep calm, and like, so I'm so glad I was keeping calm, because I definitely felt that that was something that I needed to do, right? So he's like also telling me like, oh, you know, what's it called? What did he say? He was like, we're gonna be there like in 40 minutes. I mean, we're gonna be there like 20 minutes. We're gonna be there like 30 minutes. Like, he's giving me like these little countdowns, and I'm just like, yo, like this is not helping, because I really like don't need no countdown. I just want to get there. Like, I'm not thinking about nothing. And you know, it kind of also goes back to like what I mentioned before about just like visualizing, like, you know, how I wanted things to happen, because like I said, I low-key wanted that experience, and then I got it, you know. So you got to be real careful what you ask for, because you just might get it, okay? And then also when I was in the tub, I forgot to mention this part earlier, I had the conversation with my son where I was like, all right, I'm pushing now, I can feel that you're coming, you know, if you're ready to come, I'm okay with that. Because like I said, at first I was like so like stuck on him coming last week in July that I didn't want him to feel like he could not come, you know, that I would like be uncomfortable with him coming. So I made sure that was clear, made sure the intentions were set before I started pushing, like, for real, making sure everything was like good to go, making sure like I was as positive as possible. Like, when I was in the tub, I told my son, I was like, you know what, you're gonna be born by 6 o'clock. And like, that's exactly what happened. So kind of going back to us being in the car, we're in the car, we're trying to get there. We finally get there. We just pull up on like the curb, like on the side, and it was like by the grace of God, we see one of the receptionists like walk out like the office. Like, there's like the main level is where all the rooms are at, and then there's like the basement area where the main office is. So we see the receptionist come out the office, and thank God she was there, because no one else was there. So we're like she's looking at me, I'm looking at her, and she's like, oh my God. Like, it was just like the way her expression was, it was just like so hilarious, because she was like, she went from like a hey, what's up, okay, and like I'm telling her, I'm like, okay, can you like go unlock the door? So she goes to unlock the door, and my boyfriend helps me up the stairs. I'm on the stairs waiting for her to like go run back to unlock the front door, and it's just like the surges, the contractions kept getting stronger and closer together, and I just kept pushing. And it was to the point, like at one point, that I'm literally like holding onto like the railing, and like I'm squatting on the staircase outside, like in front of the building, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is really happening. Like, I'm pushing because I can feel his head, please somebody open the door. And she finally gets the door open, maybe like after like a minute or two, and then we get to the hallway. this lady is going to be like, we need to do like the COVID test, like go into the triage room, which is usually the usual process. Like go into the triage room, check the heart rate, check your heart rate of the baby, of yourself. They make sure like everything just like is like on the right track. And then she also like said she wanted to do like the test for COVID. I'm looking at her like, girl, can we just go to this room, because that's not happening. I can promise you I don't have COVID, the baby don't have COVID. We all have like well, my boyfriend didn't have the mask on. I didn't have the mask on because that was not gonna happen. Like we were just like, please, let's just get to the room. So she walks to the back, and mind you, like as we're like walking in, and I'm talking to the receptionist about like going straight to the back. My boyfriend's like on the phone with the midwife to like check in to see like how far she was away. So while I'm like on the ground, like, you know, kind of like pushing, and like I said, my water just broke, the receptionist goes to call like someone to see if it's okay to just let me back to the room. My boyfriend's like still on the phone with the midwife, and then my doula walks in. This is why I said I love her, because she was not playing no games. She was like, I ain't with this. She picked me up and we went to the back room. And the way that it's like set up is like you have the 3 rooms, like all different sizes. The room that I initially wanted and visualized for was the biggest room that had the tub inside of the room, which I didn't even use because like I said, I pretty much labored at home, and I like, you know, was in the tub at home. But I initially wanted that. I wanted to have that room, and I got that room. Nobody else was there, but just beautiful. So I'm like on the bed, as I'm like my doula's helping me on the bed. The midwife walks in. Like I said, it just kind of worked back. Everything just kind of fell back into place. It was just so perfect at that moment. My boyfriend steps out to go park the car, and she's like, my midwife is like doing like the checks for me, and she's like, as my boyfriend walks in, she's like, oh, you can see the head. Like, she's 10 centimeters dilated. This baby coming now. And at that point, like, I'm just like, oh, that's all you had to say. So I'm pushing. I'm like pushing like so hard, like, and they didn't want to tell me this until like after, like, I recently spoke to my boyfriend, like, you know, after the situation. But it was like I can feel it, and you know, they're so encouraging. Everyone's like, oh, but you're doing so good, and I'm like, I know. And I'm over here cracking jokes with everybody, like, even though it was so painful, like I was still trying to remain, like I say, as calm as possible. All right. And then it was just like one of those things where like I could feel, like I said, this is what I'm talking about, where they brought it up to me later. I could feel it where I would push and his head would come out a little bit and then go back in. Come out a little bit and go back in. And the whole time they're all like, oh, you're doing so good, he's almost out. And my boyfriend's over here like after the fact telling me, like, he was just like, oh my god, like I felt so bad for you, because I didn't want to say like, oh, the head just came out and then it going back in, you know, because they didn't want to like freak me out or anything, but I can feel it, you know what I mean? Like I can feel everything, you know. So I'm telling them, like, so I'm cracking jokes. They're like trying to keep me calm. They're, you know, helping me and being super supportive through the whole process. And no medication, no drugs, no nothing. So by 6:07, my baby boy was here. And like I said, I told y'all, I spoke to him earlier and told him he was gonna slip right out, and this boy sure did. After we got that head out, he sure came out. Just such a beautiful and like empowering, like just so much. It was so amazing, such a great experience. It's one of those things that people say it changes your life, and it really does, you know. I feel like now I have like a whole different outlook on like life, on a whole different outlook on motherhood, a whole different outlook on like childbirth, everything. And then when it comes down to like how I like operate going forward, I definitely will take those same, like, you know, views on like being like positive, and different views on like visualizing what I want to get, what I want, and just like different other techniques to like help me with whatever I have to come, and whatever I desire. Yes, y'all can hear my son. We're almost done. We're gonna wrap this up soon. But basically, that was my birth story. My postpartum so far has been like, you know, a up and down battle of like good and bad, and I'll take it all. One thing I think that definitely helped me, and that is still currently helping me, I had a mom friend that recently had a baby like a few months prior to me having my son, and she told me that when she gave birth, she told herself, if I can give birth naturally, I can have an amazing postpartum. And I definitely like took that and ran with it, and it just resonated with me so well. So that's initially what I've told myself, and so far so good. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to share your story, feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you next time.